Have you ever felt that you weren't truly alone in your own home? That prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the feeling of being watched when no one is there? Tonight, we're not talking about drafts or old pipes. We're delving into stories from people who swear their homes are shared with something else. These are accounts of real paranormal encounters that will make you think twice about that creak you just heard from upstairs. Our first story comes from a woman named Clara, who moved into what she thought was her dream Victorian house. The first few weeks were perfect, filled with the joy of unpacking and decorating. But then, the nights began to change. It started subtly, a faint scent of lilac perfume in the hallway, where no flowers grew. Then, she started hearing soft, melodic humming coming from the empty guest room. One evening, as she sat reading, the rocking chair in the corner of her living room began to sway back and forth on its own, slow and deliberate, as if an unseen occupant was enjoying the quiet evening with her. The humming grew louder, and the scent of lilac became almost overwhelming. She learned from a local historian that a young woman who loved lilacs had passed away in that very room nearly a century ago, waiting for a lover who never returned. Clara says she doesn't feel threatened, but she's never truly alone in her house. She often whispers goodnight to the empty chair before she goes to bed. Next, we travel to a modern suburban home, proving that ghosts aren't just for old houses. A young family, the Martins, began experiencing strange events shortly after their son, Leo, was born. Toys in his nursery would turn on by themselves, playing cheerful tunes in the dead of night. At first, they blamed faulty wiring, but then things escalated. The baby monitor would often pick up a soft, raspy voice whispering to Leo after he'd been put to sleep. It wasn't their voice. It wasn't a voice they recognized at all. One night, they watched the monitor in horror as the mobile above Leo's crib started spinning violently, with no wind and no one in the room. The whispering became clearer, saying a single name over and over again. After some research, they discovered the name belonged to the previous owner of the land, a man who had lost his own infant child in a tragic accident decades before the house was even built. The Martins moved out a month later, unable to shake the feeling that something was trying to connect with their son from beyond the grave. Our final story is perhaps the most chilling. It involves a group of college students renting an old, run-down farmhouse off campus. They treated it as a joke, calling it the crypt. The laughter stopped when objects started moving, textbooks would fly off shelves, and kitchen knives would be found embedded in the walls. They would hear frantic scratching sounds from inside the walls, always seeming to follow one of the roommates, a guy named Ben. The activity always centered around him. One night, they woke up to a blood-curdling scream from Ben's room. They rushed in to find him backed into a corner, his face pale with terror, staring at the wall. Scratched into the plaster were 3 words: "Get out, Ben." They later learned a terrible secret about the house. A family had lived there 50 years prior, and their eldest son, who had the same name as their roommate, had vanished from his bedroom without a trace. The students broke their lease the very next day and never looked back. Ben claims he sometimes still hears faint scratching in the quietest moments of the night. So, the next time you hear a strange noise in your home, pause and listen. Is it just the house settling? Or is it a whisper from a time long past, a story that wants to be told? Some doors, once opened, can never be fully closed again. Thanks for joining me in the shadows tonight. If you enjoyed these stories and want to explore more of the unknown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, sleep tight, and don't let the shadows bite.